All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Life and Whatever Else. And we are here at the studios of the Manhattan Neighborhood Network, 59th Street between 10th and 11th Avenue. I always give them a shout out because that's where we're shooting. We are here with a very special guest, a good guest today, children's author Max Goodman. Max,
Hey,
welcome
Eric.
to the show.
Thank you. Great to be here.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Excellent,
Yeah.
excellent. So this is the second show that you've been on the Manhattan Neighborhood Network.
Yeah.
Well, we're also going to be on YouTube, but it's the second show that you're on the Manhattan Neighborhood Network.
Yeah, I'm kind of doing the circuit here at MNN.
Yes, doing this like well, Truett's show and my show. They're the only shows that you really need to be on. You don't need to be on any other
Oh,
shows.
yeah.
Yeah, these are the only shows. They're the only good ones. No.
No, it's kind of cool the way it worked out. I mean, I know Truett, he's got his show he had me on, and I know he was on your show,
Yes,
and he uh, hooked us up. So
yes.
it's sort of
Good
the power
man.
of networking and connections. And
Good man, that Truett Wagner. I believe he's in the control room this
I
evening.
think
Truett,
you're right.
hello, thank you. Um, and on the monitor here, we have a little video from that show that you were on, Making the Grade with Dr. Wagner.
Hmm.
And you're talking about your book, The Secret Life of Lilykins.
Hmm.
So tell us a little bit about your book.
Sure, happy to. So this book, it's got a real life inspiration, which is my cat. Her name is
Okay,
Lily. Um,
excellent. Just make sure you're talking to the mic.
sure,
Yeah.
sure. And I think, like most people, I have about 82 nicknames for my pets, and one of them is Lilykins. Um,
What are the other 81?
let's see, um,
You
Crazy
on- you
Girl,
only have to give us like three. Don't worry.
uh, Liliana's Baby Girl, Lilo. Yeah, just all sorts of
And if you guys can guess the rest, we'll give you a prize.
exactly, exactly. Um, but anyway, Lilykins is kind of her default nickname,
Okay.
and it's funny, sort of the way everyone thinks that their kids are the best kids and
Mm-hmm.
better than everyone else. Well, of course, I think my cats are
Mm.
the coolest, the most original, but I recognize that cats are all pretty similar. I mean, they
Mhm.
all have their little quirks, but
Yeah.
there's sort of these amazing behaviors that make all cats and different animals alike.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the really sort of curious and crazy things about cats is that they kind of have split personalities.
Mm.
I mean, in
Yes.
in a course of 5 minutes, a cat can be sleeping, a cat can be calm, a cat can
Mm-hmm.
be dreaming, and then suddenly, like on a dime, a cat can start freaking out,
Yes.
hallucinating.
I've been around a lot of crazy cats,
Yes. So
so.
my cats are no exception. Um, and I was just thinking, or sort of wondering, what's going on in our cats' brains. Um,
Okay.
Part of the great thing about animals is that we don't really know why they do what they do. I
Yeah.
mean, we can only speculate.
I'm sure we all like to wonder, like, why are they doing those things? But
Exactly.
yeah.
Um, but I just got this idea that maybe she's got this amazing imagination
Mm-hmm.
and she just daydreams. So she somehow transports herself to this other world, this other dimension where she's going on adventures and living some kind of
Mm-hmm.
parallel life. Excuse me. So, in a way, it's influenced by there's a short story called The Secret Life of Walter Mitty about
Mm-hmm.
this guy who has this very ordinary life,
Yeah.
but then there are these little things that kind of set him off, and he
Mm-hmm.
imagines himself on these adventures.
Yeah.
So that's the general premise: is that Lily, she's an everyday house cat. She has her everyday experiences, and then when everything's right, suddenly she's transported.
Mm.
And the book is all about how she goes from everyday life to these wild adventures.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So what's one adventure that she has in the book? Give us a little preview of.
Sure, sure. Well, one of them, she has a brother named Charlie, and
Mm-hmm.
Charlie he's kind of a big brute. He's sort of the alpha male. Um, he has a tendency to beat her up a little bit
Oh
and
boy.
sort of start stuff, and she will defend herself, but he's always the aggressor.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of a big pig. Like he loves to
Mm.
eat. He would eat until he exploded if he could, and he will often steal her food if we don't put him, like in the
Oh
bathroom or
boy.
something. So in one of these adventures, she sort of imagines that she's been transported and suddenly she's a queen and she's reigning over a kingdom.
Wow.
And rather than Charlie being like her, this bully,
Yeah.
he's in fact a court jester. And he's there to entertain her and to like fix her food and to just be at her service.
Oh wow.
Um, so it's always about her kind of flipping the script.
Mm.
Another example is, that we sort of live in this building that faces an internal
Uh-huh.
courtyard.
Okay.
So you have all these squirrels and birds, and
Oh.
of course the cats love
Yeah.
watching that stuff.
Love watching.
They've tried jumping through the window many
Why
times.
we don't know, but hey,
It's in their
it's
DNA.
their thing. So.
Yeah. So there's one scene where she's just sort of watching this little pigeon and
Mm-hmm.
not that interested, and all of a sudden in her mind, this pigeon is this crazy sort of prehistoric looking bird
Oh wow.
that like challenges her to a duel, and she finds a way to kind of like kick the bird's butt.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing, I'm listening to everything and I'm looking at all the pictures from the book and everything. Have you ever thought about this becoming like a cartoon or something like that? Because it sounds like it would make a great children's cartoon.
Um, I would love it. I it's interesting. I feel like now when you say cartoon, you mean like a comic strip or an
Comic
animated?
strip, animated, either one. I feel like personally it would be great on TV. Like I could see kids like really watching and
Yeah.
wanting to see all the adventures of Lily.
I would absolutely love it. And you sort of bring up an interesting point. I mean, so something about this book. The book is self-published.
Okay.
The truth is, it's actually pretty difficult to get a mainstream publisher
Mm-hmm.
interested in your book and to
Yeah.
commit money and resources and print the books and distribute the
Mm-hmm.
books. So Amazon has this service called CreateSpace where you sort of, you bring your material. They'll help
Okay.
you lay it out if you want. But
Oh,
because
that's
this was illustrated, I just brought a file,
mm-hmm.
uploaded it, and it's ready to sell on Amazon. It's print
Okay.
on demand. And I think it's a great example of how things have changed in the arts, where
Yeah.
basically you no longer have to ask for permission. You don't have
Mm-hmm.
to wait for someone, a
Yeah.
publisher, a producer, to
You
say
can do it on
you're
your
worthy.
own.
You can do it on your own.
Yeah.
Um, Part of the thing though about TV, I mean, hey, we've got MNN where
Yeah. Manhattan Neighborhood Network.
yeah, you don't need like a big time studio to bless
Mm-hmm.
something. But something like, a cartoon, like a
Mm-hmm.
series, I think would involve a certain amount of money
Yeah.
and talent to get behind it, and
Be a big effort.
it would.
It
But
it would just be really like because you're telling it to me, and what's interesting is that I know it's a book, and maybe I'm terrible. I shouldn't say this, but I'm not the biggest reader. But as you're telling me everything, it's sounding to me like I would love to see it. Like not only in the book, because I think kids obviously would read it and like that book. But I also think it would be great as a cartoon too. So even if the kids read the book, you'd also have the cartoon to like see more adventures, see everything how it plays out. It's just an idea. It's just something because as you're telling me, it would be like a great um, kind of addition, I guess you could say, to the book. You know?
well, I appreciate that
Yeah.
you can envision it taking on some other form, and if there is some big time producer listening or
Yeah.
watching this, um,
Producers, everybody, animators, come on.
I would just add that, more than it being a cute story, there's also a message in the
Hmm.
book. Um, and that is sort of how amazing it is to have an imagination and a sense of creativity.
Hmm.
Um, Something I've noticed is that kids are just, they're so unfiltered. Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure if you have like kids or nieces or nephews, especially when they're little, I mean, they will just go on and just
Absolutely.
make up these fantasies. And, half the time they're like insanely boring and you're
Yeah.
just waiting for them to, but half the time they're like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, where are you
Yeah.
coming up with this stuff, kid? That's
Hmm.
great.
Yeah.
And, I think as we grow up, we become more self-conscious.
Hmm. Yeah, we
We
definitely do.
we edit ourselves. We stop and say,
Yeah.
"Oh wait, did I really want to say that? Are people
Hmm.
going to laugh at me? Is this a crazy idea?"
Yeah.
Um, and with kids, you just don't have that. And
Have you ever seen on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon? I forget the name of the segment, but he has a segment where kids like they give kids these movie titles,
Uh-huh.
and so the kids will send in. Mainly the parents will have their kids write something, and then they send it in. Um, and like the parents will say, "Oh, this is the movie. Write a little like script or whatever," and then they'll send it into the show, and Jimmy Fallon will read with whoever the guest is, whoever's movie it is, and they did a couple different movies, and one of them was Magic Mike. And all I guess all these parents told the kids, "Oh, hey, write something about Magic Mike." And as most of us know, Magic Mike is a movie about a bunch of, male strippers.
Sure.
These kids wrote these hilarious little scripts, and it was all about like Magic Mike and wanting to ride on a bicycle and everything like that. And it's crazy how they can imagine all that stuff. And when you don't take it's almost like you don't take it seriously. And then when you hear adults read it, it's like, wait, this is actually like, comedy or like it's drama or whatever, and we don't even realize it. So kids have these crazy imaginations that, you know, you don't want them to lose, but as they get older sometimes, like you said, you have to edit your not have to, but as people get older they edit themselves, and it's a shame that people kind of lose that. So
It's true. And I think, as adults, we recognize that we do that. And, I've been in just whatever work groups or things,
mhm.
at my job where, you know, they'll say, okay, they're no bad ideas, just throw them out there. But still, though, I mean, at least for myself, I hold back because
Yeah.
you worry what people are going to
That's
think.
that's like a trick question saying they're no bad ideas, because
Yeah.
it's like, ah, yeah, guys, they're no bad ideas, but trust me, like there's some bad
Sure.
ideas,
Yeah. Yeah.
But we don't want to keep people from voicing them and getting them out there. Sometimes you gotta weed through them, I guess, and figure out what's best.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, as grown-ups living our lives,
Yeah,
like you do need to edit yourself a little
yeah,
bit. You can't say everything that's on your mind.
yeah.
You might hurt some feelings. You
I
might
know.
come up with some bad ideas that don't work.
Oh.
But I
Maybe
think if
maybe our president should learn should learn that. um,
there's a good example of
yeah,
someone unfiltered.
yeah.
But I think if we could just hold on to like a little bit of that magic that kids
Hmm.
have, where if an idea pops into your mind and you blurt it out, well,
Yeah,
it might just be like the next
genius.
big invention or
Yeah,
like the next
yeah,
like solution for world peace or who knows
yeah.
what.
We could use some world peace now. But one thing you mentioned your job.
Yeah,
You have an interesting career. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your career?
sure, sure. So I actually work in pharmaceutical advertising. And anytime I mention that to people, the first question is usually, oh, do you write those crazy ads where there's someone running through a field
Yeah.
and it looks happy, but the
Yeah.
voiceover is really scary and it's all about these terrible side effects?
Everything looks happy, and then all of a sudden you hear, your brain will explode in like 10 seconds if you take this or something like that.
Yeah, and the answer is sort of because the ads that you're seeing on TV are for consumers, for patients,
Hmm.
and what I do is mostly for doctors and other healthcare professionals. So it's not going to be on TV. It's stuff that's in medical journals or at um, conferences or on
Hmm.
websites. So it's a little more technical. It's a little more
Hmm.
dry, but it's still just as ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, um, you might come up with an idea for like a cool way to sort of brand a product or like a little tagline, and your group at the agency will be like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. And then it like gets run up the flagpole,
Yeah.
and like first the clients say, well, we can't, we have to step back a little bit because
Yeah.
that's an overstatement. And then their bosses
Yeah.
play with it and tweak it and water it down,
Yeah.
and it just goes through so many layers and levels.
So by
And
the end, it's almost totally different than what you
different
started.
and just really not impactful. And
It's kind of like telephone almost. It's like it's like you tell one person, 20 people later, the story has completely changed. So it's like this: you say one thing at the start, and then by the end, it's like, whoa, wait a second, is that really what I was writing there?
yeah, and it's kind of just a big bureaucracy of all these rules and regulations and
Hmm.
things you have to adhere to because
Yeah.
all these drug companies are deathly afraid that the FDA is going to tell them that they messed up, that they
Yeah.
promised too much, that they hid, side effects.
Yeah.
So it's just these really risk averse people
Hmm.
kind of constantly micromanaging and kind of taking all the fun out of
Yeah.
out of the job. Uh,
um. Yeah, that sucks. I mean, it just sucks. Like when you have people who are, that. I mean, you have to a certain degree. Well, let me not say to a certain degree. You should be honest about a product.
Yeah.
You want to be as honest as possible, but sometimes, um, honesty. How do I put this best? Honesty sometimes is a little boring, I guess. You want to be descriptive, and you want people to really understand what something is. So I could imagine that it's tough to, like, work. I mean, I'd imagine you're a really hard worker. So,
Thank you.
you know, um, you work hard on something, and then to see it just changed, and change a little more, and then change. It's got to be tough. I mean, I could imagine that that's why you wanted to write the book, because you probably wanted like a bit of an escape, or something like that.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
I was just feeling like this sort of creative vacuum because,
Mhm.
especially over the years, as the industry has changed and the regulations have gotten tighter and tighter,
Mhm.
like I said, the creativity has just been kind of sucked out of it.
Yeah.
So there was a time that, we got to do kind of fun campaigns and brainstorm and come up with cool things and photo shoots. And I was just really missing that. And I
Yeah.
was missing being able to collaborate with a partner.
Mhm.
And usually I'm a copywriter, and
Yeah.
usually writers and art directors pair up and just, like have these brainstorm sessions and just
Mhm.
kind of throw stuff on the wall,
Yeah.
and like, you might agree, you might disagree,
Yeah,
but
there are no bad ideas.
that's true. Well, usually when it's just the two of you, you can be like, "Come on, that's
Yeah,
that's not
when
good."
when there's two people, yeah, you can say things like
Yeah.
that.
Um, but yeah, I needed just kind of a creative outlet that had nothing to do with pharma,
Mhm.
where I could call most of the shots.
Yeah.
Um, and I'd had this idea in my head for years about Lily and about
Yeah.
her brain, and I thought, why not write a children's book?
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I wrote the manuscript, and then I paired up with an illustrator, someone I used to work with at an ad
Okay.
agency, and it was a really really cool process because he he really is more than an illustrator. An illustrator is someone, maybe
And what's
who's
his name?
his name is Eric Mace.
All right. Shout out.
He has a website, ericmace.com.
There we go.
He has all kinds of clients. But, illustrators typically are people where you just say, look, I have this very specific vision,
Mhm.
and I'm going to describe exactly what I want, and
Yeah.
I need you to just deliver it, whether
Mhm.
it's a hand sketch or it's done on the
Yeah.
computer. But art directors, these are people with like a real sort of artistic brain
Mhm.
who may be good illustrators, but they
Yeah.
also have ideas, and
Mhm.
they can bring more to the table. So even though I had a lot of the ideas on my own, Eric was great because he would say, well, what if we
He's
showed
got a good
this?
name, by the way.
He does. Eric with a K though.
Oh, wait a second. Whoa, everybody spells my name with a K though.
Oh, do they?
That drives me crazy.
That's
Not
like
that Eric's with a K are bad, but drives me crazy because my name is a C.
all right.
So, you know, people with the C.
Do
So
they mess you up at Starbucks? They,
I don't go to Starbucks,
oh no.
so I don't have to deal with that. I'm not a coffee drinker, so I don't have to deal with
Ah,
them
okay.
misspelling my name all the time. So
I can see where they probably would mess
yeah,
that up.
they'd probably screw with me all the time, but you're not gonna get me Starbucks.
So yeah, Eric with a K, he was awesome, and he just brought all these really cool ideas to the table, things I hadn't even thought of, and ways to kind of really develop the story,
Yeah.
in images. And yeah, like I said, we used CreateSpace, which is a
Mhm.
platform of Amazon's, where basically, you agree to certain
Yeah.
things, you upload your file, and like 5 minutes later, it's available to purchase on Amazon.
Wow.
Um,
It's amazing how things like that have come about and completely changed our world.
yeah,
you
it's
know.
pretty cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
Yeah, and I did a little promotion around it. I had a launch party, and I
Mhm.
rented out a room and invited friends and family, and
Yeah.
just like did
Excellent.
a little reading, and asked them to please spread the word, and
Excellent.
tell their inner circles and outer circles, um and yeah, just been
Sounds
doing other little promotional things along the way.
excellent. Are you looking to write more books like that?
Yes, in fact, I have another book in the works, and this
Excellent.
one is
Tell us a little bit about it.
sure. It's actually inspired by our other cat, Charlie, the one I
Okay.
was saying is the big bully.
This
Um,
is his time to shine now.
yeah, and it's still kind of in development, but the funny thing about Charlie is we say he's more like a dog than a cat. He absolutely loves people, and whereas
Okay.
most cats are kind of skittish and shy,
Yes.
he will just
I a story about that. Just because you mentioned it, I used to feed a cat. When my neighbors, when I was a kid, I used to feed a cat when my neighbors went away. And every day when I walked in, the lights would be off in the apartment. And as soon as I would walk in and open the door and turn the lights on, the cat ran to the closet.
oh really
So every single time I walked into the apartment, the cat would run in. And so it was like my mission to like one day see this cat like not run to the closet. So one day I walked in and the cat just was there. And I was like, I got you. And like the cat was like frozen for a second, like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And then eventually she ran back up into the closet. But it was just funny because it's just like, it was so tough to like actually see her because every time it was like run to the closet. But I eventually got to see her, so
so
it,
she'd just wait for you to leave before she'd eat.
yeah, she would because I could always tell 'cause since I would feed her and the food. Actually, it was a boy. I'm saying her, but it was a boy. But I would put the food in the kitchen and the cat would go in the closet and just like hang out on a shelf. But I always knew that the cat would come down because the food would be gone.
Sure.
So unless something crazy was going on, but every single time, so I was like, okay, so you come down every single time that I'm not here, but when I'm here, you want to just hang out in the closet. So I didn't understand it, but hey, it's what a cat does, I guess.
Some of them are just, they've just got this fear, and some
Yeah,
have no fear, like Charlie.
yeah.
But anyway, he loves people, and it's crazy. He purrs constantly, and he purrs
Mm.
so loudly, and he purrs like in sort of inappropriate places. Like we brought him to the vet, and he was, as they were handling him and like holding him down, he was purring, and they said, we need to get him to stop purring just for a second because we have to listen to his heartbeat,
Yeah.
and the purring is drowning out the sound of his heartbeat.
Wow.
So I thought it would be cute to sort of like look at this constant purring as almost like not a negative, but like if we could relate it to people, like
Yeah.
some people just wear their heart on their sleeves,
Mhm.
and they're always like happy, and they're always like showing you how they feel.
Mhm.
But maybe they're not cool. Like
Yeah.
maybe they don't know how to like play the game.
Yeah.
Um, so that I was sort of envisioning that Charlie is this loving, creature, but he's not cool like the other cats. He can't be stealthy. He can't hide his feelings. And it's all how he comes to terms with that.
Okay, excellent. And when are we looking at what's the scheduled release date for that? What are we looking at?
It's still in the very early stages. I'm
Very
still
early.
working on the manuscript. So, I mean, this, from beginning to end took about 6 months. So
Okay,
maybe another six.
excellent. So we're gonna have to have you on the show again to talk about
Absolutely.
that book. But in
I'd
the
love to.
meantime, what else is going on? What else is going on in your everyday life? I guess that's exciting, interesting.
Huh. Let's see. Well, I told you I'm a big fan of tennis. And it's like a
Yes,
big part of my world.
yes. I've had a lot of tennis players on
Oh
recently,
yeah,
mainly Truett.
yeah.
And
He's one of my tennis buddies.
I don't know. Do you know Shiv Paul?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
he came on the show,
Oh,
and
cool.
so I've been talking a lot of tennis with those guys.
Yeah.
So, what do you what do you love about tennis?
Well, one of the things is that there's this whole circuit of amateur tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually through the GLTA, which is the Gay Lesbian
Mm-hmm.
Tennis Association.
Yeah.
Um, it's open to everyone, but it sort of tends
Sorry, my
to.
nose itches, so I
That's okay.
got.
Uh, it does tend to attract gays and lesbians, and they have tournaments pretty much all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
So any given week, there could be a tournament in New York. There could be a tournament
Wow.
in Berlin. Right now, there's one in Cincinnati.
Wow, that's interesting. The world's a big place, so
Yeah.
there are a lot of places for tournaments.
Yeah, and it's really cool because you tend to see a lot of the same people over and over. So it's like, you know,
It's like
it,
community building.
it really is. And, I had this thought the other day. I was just in Vancouver for a tournament, and it was
Mm-hmm.
an amazing experience. It was my
Okay.
first time there. Um, I went to summer camp as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and in a way, these tournaments remind me of summer camp
Oh,
because it's for a very short period.
yeah.
You're suddenly exposed to all these people. You're meeting new people. You're having all these really intense experiences,
Mm-hmm.
victories and losses,
Yeah.
and you're like going out and partying and seeing new things, and before you know it, it's over, and it's like,
That sucks.
yeah, it does.
It sucks because you have fun and then it's over.
It's true, but it's also like I think it's just a real blessing because you sort of lead your everyday
Yeah.
life, and then you get a chance to just like jet off to wherever and
Hmm.
like hang out with cool people. And
So is Vancouver the first place you traveled to for a tournament, or have you traveled other
no, I've done
places?
a bunch of others.
What was your favorite place?
I would say Montreal.
Oh,
It's
Montreal.
funny. I tend
Okay.
to gravitate towards Canada for some reason.
It's okay. Oh,
maybe,
we'll fly.
maybe just because like, you know, the U.S.
I don't know.
seems so screwed right now
Yeah,
that,
maybe everybody wants to go to Canada.
yeah.
So,
No, but Montreal's a super cool town. I mean, I think it's a lot of things. It's the city itself. Like, is it
mhm.
someplace you'd actually want to see,
Yeah.
independent of tennis?
Hmm.
There are a lot of tournaments in kind of boring cities, or at least in my mind, they're boring.
What's the most boring?
Well, I've never been, but I don't know why someone would go to Indianapolis just to play tennis.
It's interesting.
I
It's
mean,
interesting that you have that take because, like, I'm a big sports fan, and there's some cities that I'm like, I don't like. They have the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm like, why is there a professional sports team in Jacksonville? Like, what's what's in Jacksonville? That's
is
so.
that an expansion team?
No, they've been around since the mid '90s,
Okay.
but it's funny because like they're like one of the smallest markets in the NFL, and everybody every year it seems, or at least like every 5 years, it seems like oh they're gonna move somewhere, but they never end up moving and they stay in Jacksonville, and it's like it's just weird, but I don't know. I just always wonder like what is in Jacksonville.
I
It's,
think it's an industry like anything else. I'm sure
mhm.
at one point someone said, "Okay, Jacksonville, where there's not much going on here. How do we attract
Yeah,
people and tourists? Hey, let's get a sports team."
let's get a sports team. Yeah, I mean it's understandable, but still, it's like it's just weird. But so Indianapolis was the
I didn't actually play
yeah, you
that.
didn't
Just
play
an
it, but
example of
it's
kind of what I think is like a dead end place, not
mhm.
not really worth traveling to. Um, but yeah, Montreal is cool, and oh, sorry, I was saying what makes for a great tournament is the city,
Yeah.
um, just the tournament itself. The people who
Mhm.
organize it, the facility. Sometimes you're playing in like this world class facility with
Yeah.
great courts. Sometimes you're playing in a crappy like public park. Uh, and you sort of make do with
In
whatever.
Indianapolis and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Um, so yeah, it's just I love it. I do lately. I've been doing about one a month.
Okay.
I mean, there's some guys I know who
I'm sorry guys. There's a fly. There's like a little bug flying around here and it's
bizarre.
like attracted to like all the lights and everything. So it's just annoying me. Sorry.
No, that's
I
okay.
keep swatting at it,
He's like
but
an unexpected guest.
yeah, he wants to listen to the show, I guess. So, you playing all these how many tournaments in New York are there?
There's one like sanctioned one. It's called the Liberty Open.
Okay.
And the cool thing is it's actually out where they play the U.S. Open.
Oh, okay.
So when you're playing, you're like, wow, I've actually
Yeah.
seen like top tennis players play on this court right here, and
Yeah, I could imagine
here I
that's like
am.
that's a real like fun thing to be a part of. It's
Yeah,
like,
it's super
oh,
cool.
Serena Williams, Venus Williams, all these tennis players, Federer, Nadal, they've all played here, and
Yeah,
now it's me.
it's kind of amazing. Little old me.
Yeah. So who's a better tennis player, you or Truett?
Aha. Funny you should ask that because Truett and I have played many, many times.
Oh boy. So
And
now I'm gonna get the truth. Okay.
um, and our record it's pretty even. I feel like I maybe have the edge.
Okay. All
Maybe
right. There we go.
maybe it's 5-4 or something.
Okay.
Um,
Even if you don't know, you always got to put yourself ahead.
right, right.
Don't put yourself behind. Don't be modest like
Got
that.
the edge. The interesting thing about tennis, though, and you see this with the professionals, is it's not necessarily about who's the better player.
Hmm.
Because sometimes you have really great players who
Yeah.
can like beat virtually everyone,
Hmm.
and then there's that one player who's kind of low ranked and hasn't done much, but there's something about their game that gets under the skin of
Yeah.
that really good player.
Hmm.
It's just the way certain styles match up,
Yeah.
and something about Truett's game and my game, we always have really long, drawn out matches.
Really.
It's never straightforward. It almost always goes the distance to a third set. Um, and yeah, I'm not sure why.
I'm gonna have to watch one of these matches one of these days. 'Cause
Sure.
I don't know. Truett always talks about how great a tennis player he is. So
He's pretty good.
yeah.
Yeah, I won't take that away from him.
I always see him and Truett is like, yeah, Max, I played him the other day. I beat him, no problem. It was
Well,
easy. So, now I'm getting the truth. So I'm just joking about that though.
I know.
Truett's a good guy. Truett's a good guy. Thank you, Truett, for being in the control room and taking care of our Mac and everything. Um, so you play tennis, and you were also telling me that we're gonna transition a little bit
Yeah,
here.
sure.
You were also telling me that you moved out to Queens recently,
I did, yeah.
and how has that been for you?
It's been great. I've kind of gone full circle because I grew up in Queens
Okay,
in Forest Hills.
all right.
And then, like, for 20 years as a grown up, I lived in Manhattan, um, lived on the east side. Um, and then I met my future current husband, and, we knew we wanted to own a place somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But, to own in Manhattan, you
And
basically have to be.
congratulations on your marriage and
Thank you.
everything.
Thank you very much. You pretty much have to be a multimillionaire to
Yeah.
own in Manhattan. And even then, you're not really getting much.
Uh-huh.
So we looked at a bunch of different neighborhoods in the boroughs, and we settled on Jackson Heights.
Okay.
So I'm back in Queens again. It's great because my parents still live in Queens, so they're
Okay.
they're close by, and
Close by.
I see them all the time.
Yeah. When I was in high school, I used like all my friends were from Jackson Heights.
Oh yeah,
So at least most of them. So I always heard, oh yeah, Jackson Heights, everything. So, um, and I live in Manhattan now, and it's an interesting borough. I'll tell you that much. So I can understand why you moved out to Queens again, because Manhattan's weird. It's almost like it's changing a lot, and it's because I've lived in the same area my whole life, the Upper
mm,
West Side, um, and it's changing. Like you see, like it's almost like you see little areas where it's like that's what it used to be, and then you see areas where it's like, oh, this is what it is now, and like
hmm
you also in Manhattan you get a lot of people who aren't New Yorkers, and I think that's the thing for me personally that like kind of I don't really want to say it gets under my skin, but it kind of bothers me because it's like you see so many people that are not from here, and I understand that they come to the big city, everything like that, but you lose a lot of what a neighborhood was, um, and I think that's one thing that really sucks is that you lose a lot of like you hear stories about what this place was so great or they used to have this great restaurant or something, but now it's like people there's so many restaurants that close down because they can't afford the rent either. I've seen so many restaurants that will open up and within like 2 or 3 months they're closed, and I'm like, wow, like what is going on? So
a lot of it is, yeah, just greedy landlords who
yeah.
think they can get some ridiculous rent.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they've driven out all the mom and pop shops and all the
Yeah.
things that gave that neighborhood like a character.
Like I saw a street. I saw there was a block the other day that I saw a couple mom and pop shops, and I was like, "Whoa, this is this is crazy to me." Like I don't see these shops anymore. Like everything is a big chain or something like that. And it's crazy to me. Manhattan's a weird borough.
It is. I actually heard this is a I someone else said this. I just thought it was really funny. It was Lady Bunny, who's this famous drag
Okay,
queen,
Lady
but
Bunny.
she
Yeah.
talks about um, the way she remembers New York in the 80s.
Mhm.
How, yes, it was definitely like maybe a more dangerous time.
Yeah.
Um, didn't have all the conveniences, but it was a place where you could be an artist, you
Mhm.
could be someone who didn't make a lot of money, but you could still live there. And
Live.
there was this
Yeah.
great artists scene, and there was stuff going on, and it was very cultural.
Mhm.
Um, and you could have your little, studio
Mhm.
apartment. Um, and now it's just rents and prices are just so sky high.
Yep.
A lot of it has to do with like, um, foreign money people. It's not like a fair market economy. It's just
Yeah.
there's always someone out there with $5 million to drop
Exactly.
on like a crappy 2 bedroom
And
apartment.
that's what New York takes advantage of in essence is there's going to be some and a lot of these people that move here cuz I remember there was a friend one time that I had um and she was house sitting for somebody in Manhattan. We were in college at the time, but she was house sitting for somebody in Manhattan. And so I was meeting her at that place cuz we were going to go somewhere else. And I remember I walked into the apartment, and when I walked into the apartment I like couldn't believe it. I don't remember exactly how much the person was paying, but it was definitely like I think like over it's definitely more than 3 grand. and it was like a little like closet basically.
Wow.
And I said, I can't believe this. You're actually paying that much money for this. And it was basically like the person was a musician who was like, wanting to come to New York, and like their parents gave them money or whatever. And so they were living in this small apartment. I'm like, wow, people like, it's what you were saying. Then there's always somebody who's gonna want to pay that, price to
Yeah.
be here in the city, I guess. The allure of the city, I guess, is what they're looking for.
Yeah,
So
for sure. But
they're
this thing I was talking about, this quote that I thought
yeah.
was
Sorry, I
hilarious.
completely
No,
cut
no,
you
that's
off.
okay. But so she was basically saying, so compared to the 80s, New York sort of lost all its soul and its
hmm
character, and it's like completely unaffordable.
Yeah.
So she said it's kind of like Dubai but with blizzards. just, just
That's a
this
good
like
quote. I like that.
characterless, overpriced city that,
Yeah, that's a very good
doesn't
quote.
have a lot.
Dubai with blizzards. I like that.
That was good.
That is funny. It's actually funny that we're talking about this because, like, I feel like it was a theme. It's been now a theme, like, on a couple shows that I've done, talking about how New York has changed and it's not the same and everything. Mainly because for me, it was like growing up in Manhattan. Like, there were a lot of things that were around when I was a kid that by the time I became an adult were not there.
Hmm.
So it was like I was looking forward to experiencing all these things that I hear about, everything, and then by the time I could experience them, it's like nothing is around anymore.
Hmm.
So it's like, oh, wah. What can you do about it?
It's funny. There's speaking of like things that are throwbacks. If you're on the Upper West, I'm sure you've seen this truck that drives around to sharpen people's knives. Do you ever see that?
Really?
This is
I've
like
not
something
seen
out of the
that.
50s. Like I'm shocked that it's still there, but I used to live on Riverside Drive,
Okay.
and on Riverside and West End there was this little rinky-dink truck, and the idea was
Really?
like when he drives up, you're like, go get the kitchen knives. He'll
Oh,
he'll do the
really?
sharpening right there.
I've missed that. I've not seen that truck.
Yeah, and it's like an anomaly. Like it's cute, but I'm
Yeah.
shocked that it still
I
exists.
know it shocks you anytime you see anything that was like, oh, look at that guy up there. Excellent picture to
Yeah.
pull up, Truett. Excellent. Um, oh, it's like an action shot.
Yeah.
Now you're swinging there. Yeah. So it's just crazy when you see something that's like not from this time. It's almost like, whoa, wait a second, where did this come? Where did this come from? But yeah, Manhattan's changing, and unfortunately, there's nothing I guess that we can do. So we gotta kind of
Just
suck it up.
move to the suburbs.
Yeah, move or just try to find a place and you know settle in, I guess. um so we're gonna wrap up in a little bit.
Okay.
um what else is going on? Anything that you would like to tell us about? Other upcoming projects? I said products. Projects? Anything else going on in your life?
Nothing in the way of projects that I can think of. I don't know. It's just a random thought. We're talking about Manhattan. I was just walking down Fifth Avenue the other day, and I think it's hilarious that tourists come to stop in front of Trump Tower and
Oh,
take pictures.
yeah.
The fact that I don't know, I think it's hilarious. Like there's
uh
nothing there.
it's interesting. It's it's interesting. I've tried to avoid Trump Tower, but on 59th Street, I passed by the hotel there, Trump International Hotel, and like when he first became president, they just like at Trump Tower, they blocked off like the whole street almost. So like there were police around it and barricades and everything. Now it's kind of calmed down. It's not the same, but you still see people like walking around the building and everything like that. It's almost like anything with Trump on it. It's like, can't go near it. So
It's
it's a weird
crazy.
time.
It's funny. I feel like living in New York, most people are sort of like-minded,
Yeah.
left-leaning. Um, I have this one friend who's kind of conservative,
Uh huh.
but
Oh, look at these two
in a reasonable way. Hey,
guys.
and I just on Facebook, I just replied to something he posted, which was not political. It was really just
uh-huh.
actually it was about cultural appropriation,
Mm.
semi-political. But then I'm just seeing like comments from other friends of his,
Yeah.
and we always say like, who are all these people who voted for Trump? Like, I can't believe that there are that many out there. And if
Yeah.
you start digging on Facebook in conversations and threads, like they're out there. However you
Yeah.
feel about them, like no doubt about it.
You'll find
The
everybody.
numbers are there. People who 100% support Trump, who hate Hillary Clinton, who think Obama was a terrible president,
Yeah.
and are, at least in my mind, pretty deluded. And
I've taken note of that actually. If you go on social media, I guess that they're following Trump's Twitter and everything, like they're following that kind of trend and doing everything on social media because you don't see them out. I mean, obviously you have your Trump supporters that'll go out in public with the "Make America Great" hats and saying we love Trump, all that stuff, everything. But then you have a lot of other people that in public you'll say, "Oh, I don't really know where they stand, Democrat, Republican. I don't know that." But you go on social media
mhm.
and they're retweeting things, they're sharing things on Facebook that are all about Trump. It kind of drives me crazy because I don't want to be one of the types of people that are like, oh, I don't want to hear your opinion because you're a Trump supporter. Like I don't look at myself as that. But there are a lot of people, honestly, that make it hard for me not to be that type of person because they're so vocal without being vocal. They go on, Facebook, on Twitter, on, social media, and they post things, but then when you get them in public, it's like, well, unless they're, with each other, you don't get that same you don't always get that same like passion, I guess. It's like they're hiding. And
Yeah, sort of closet Trump supporters.
yeah, it's like nowadays, at one time it was like coming out of the closet was like a big thing, whether you're gay or straight.
Mhm.
Now it's almost like, are you a Trump supporter or not? It's like that's like the new thing now. It's because when you find out, it is weird because it's like when you find out somebody's a Trump supporter, it's almost like, whoa, wait a second. And it's like you gotta like reevaluate and think like, should we still be friends or not or not? But yeah, we live in a crazy place, and hopefully we don't get blown up anytime soon.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I was saying to you right before the show, like I'm watching CNN, like I can't believe.
Oh, that's fake news.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Don't watch fake news.
But he's threatening this crazy dictator as if it's a reality show, and you can just
Yes.
talk down to someone. And people like you and me are scared shitless that it's going to be World War III.
Yeah.
People like these friends of my mutual friend are like, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Obama was a pussy, and Trump's
Yeah.
finally standing up to North Korea. Like, we see it completely differently.
I know.
We're scared and horrified.
Yeah.
They're excited and think it's gonna solve everything.
Yeah. Two extremes right there. I mean, it's a crazy world we live in now. And we still got a lot of time. I mean, it's not even like the next election is like next year or anything. Like we still have like 3.5 years of this. So we might as well get used to it.
Hunker
So
down.
yeah. But yeah, let's wind it down. Max, where can we find you on social media?
Well, you can find me on Facebook, just Max Goodman, if you want to get to know me. But there's also a Facebook page for The Secret Life of Lilykins.
Okay.
And there's also a website. It's
Uh,
lilykinsbook.com. And there's a little bit more about the book and the inspiration and links to purchase the book if you would like to do that.
Excellent. So guys, go out, get the book, support Max. Great guy, great author, everything.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
And thank you for coming on the show, Max. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Just to let you guys know, let's see here. To wrap up the show, I'm getting a little distracted because I'm thinking, but all right. Social media. This is the toughest part because I got like a bunch of social medias, and
Mhm.
I'm really not. I always say this. I'm really not good with them, and I'm trying to get better. So bear with me, people. You can find the show on Tumblr, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. It is life and I'm sorry, I'm messing everything up. I'm a little off today. I'm sorry, I'm a little off
You
today.
need your social media director to
Yeah.
take charge.
Yeah. Um. So that's me. So I got to take charge of myself. Uh. No, you can find us. Okay, let's start this again. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Tumblr. LAWESHOWSM. Once again, LAWESHOWSM. So that's where you find us on social media. On YouTube, it's Life and Whatever Else, no spaces. Life and Whatever Else, no spaces. You can find all the episodes. Max's episode will be up there shortly within the next week. And you can find all the other episodes. Um, Subscribe, like the videos, comments, leave a little, feedback for us. And yeah, also, I've been forgetting to mention this, but we do have an email as well. So if you guys want to come on the show, have anybody else that would like to come on the show, just want to give us some private feedback, just send an email to lifeandwhateverelse@gmail.com. Lifeandwhateverelse@gmail.com. So you guys can email us, tell us what you think. And yeah, again, if you have somebody who wants to come on, then email us and we can make it happen. And Truett, thank you in the control room. Appreciate your help. Once again, Max, thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
And that's the show. Talk to you guys soon. Peace. Thank you.
All right.
Excellent. Thank you, Max.
Thank you, Eric.
Appreciate it. Sorry if I